Hey everyone, Trev here at the Dark Room, and recently we got to shoot with some of the film photography project's new film they released called Wolfman 100, which is a black and white film that's a fine grain 100 ISO film that comes in 120 and 35 millimeter, which is pretty cool. That comes in both. We actually shared some of the scans last week, four of them from this camera, which is the GF670 that we're borrowing from KEH. And I shot those on a sunny day, and I'll show you some of those. And then four frames on a overcast early morning that Corey Heil shot. He's one of our darkroom workers, and he shot it with a Yashica mat. And we love the results. And whenever we test film, we always test the quality of the scan to see how it looks, but also prints. So I just got the prints in the mail today. So I'm going to show you how they turned out and when you order prints, how it looks. The first photos I'm going to show you are two rolls that were shot with this GF670. Again, this is a camera that I've been shooting with that KEH sent us. This camera is just amazing. It's been fun to shoot with. Going to be sending it back soon. The last roll, the 35 millimeter roll, was shot with this Nikon FM2, which is one of my favorite all-time cameras. But yeah, let's go into it. So whenever you order prints with processing, they will show up. If they're 35 millimeter or 120, the proof prints will show up in this little envelope. It'll come with one of our film mailers, which you can use to send film to us. It'll come with a order form, but you can also order online, which we recommend because it's a little bit faster and more streamlined than the physical order form. And it will come with your negatives. These are the negatives, and as you can see, they are cut in twos. We also have a do not cut option, which they'll be sleeved like this and rolled. And then the prints and scans will come with a index card like this, which will show all the scans and what was printed. So this is the first roll that I shot. It was on a sunny day. As you can see, it's very sunny. There's bright sky, and then we're in shade. This is a photo of my wife. I figured since it's Wolfman, it's a Halloween theme film, it'd be perfect. I had her dress up in her skeleton outfit. My daughter snuck in that photo. But yeah, as you can see, very strong contrast, but also very, very fine, not even noticeable grain. And really happy with the results. I love this. I love the strong contrast. Again, though, this is a very contrasty scene, very bright background, and I was in the shade, so it actually controlled things pretty well. It's my friend Michaela. And I actually really like the tones of this film. It looks really good. I love the pure blacks and the pure whites, but still has good detail in the shadows. Again, here's the second roll. Here's some of the negatives. And then here's the index card. And whenever I shoot test rolls, I usually bracket the film to see how it does with overexposure. And this is a good, Brian is a good subject to photograph because he's a really bright, pure white shirt, and then he has slightly darker skin tones. So you can kind of see the exposure latitude of the film with the bright background as well. And it did pretty well with not blowing out this really bright white, and I was metering the light hitting his face with an incident meter. And there's still really good detail in the shadows and skin tones. This one's a little more underexposed. In general, you want to err on overexposure with black and white film especially, but even color negative, that's the best way to go. Film doesn't look as good underexposed as you'll see in some of my later ones, because I'm going to show you every photo, so even the mistakes. This one was taken on an overcast day. I'm actually going to set this photo aside so you can see it compared to the same scene on a very sunny day. This is, again, very overcast day and made the film and made the scene still look pretty contrasty. So this film, if it is an overcast or even light and you want some contrast, this might be a film you'd want to shoot with. Pretty good, right here, pretty good detail in the shadows. I metered for the shadows. I'll set that aside to compare to another frame as well, because both of these were shot on overcast days. Now this is the 35 millimeter, and again, 35 millimeter will come with the index card, and this the 35 millimeter has 24 frames, if you're wondering, not like a 36 exposure roll. It'll come with the negatives. These are obviously cut and put into a sleeve, but again, you can request them to be uncut if you want. And these are every one of these photos are all true black and white silver gelatin prints on Ilford silver gelatin paper. These are the glossy, and they're 5x7. They're glossy without the border, but we also have option with the border, and we have matte as well. I actually prefer matte personally, but since I know this film's very contrasty, I wanted to get the glossy to make so they could just pop a little bit more, and if that's the case, they definitely have a little more pop to them. They're also, as you can see, a little bit more reflective because they're reflecting the light coming off the wall up there. So this is the first of the frame. That's why you have that. Now here you go. This is on a very contrasty day. A very sunny day with contrasty light compared to a overcast day that isn't strong contrast. So you can see the difference between these two, and how this film still has pretty good detail in the shadow, but will have definitely better detail in the shadows in less contrasty light. But yeah, and then I bracketed a lot of these, so that's why you'll see a variety of them. I really do like the contrast on this film. It's something that I will shoot more of in the future. This one was overexposed. As you can see, really good detail in the shadows, but it definitely blew out all of this. It's too bright for my taste. This one's underexposed. This was the darker one, but I actually like this one. I metered right around in here. This one's metered for the shadows, which is why this is so bright and there's so much detail. And let's see, just some more. Okay, so here's a good example of underexposure versus not underexposure. I made a big mistake and metered for the sky on accident. Don't know why, which, as you can see, it adds grain and just loses all the detail in the shadows compared to this one, which is metered for the shadows, and that's why you have good detail in the shadows. There's no point of metering for the highlights in this frame because there's nothing worth seeing in the highlights, and they just go gray compared to metering for this. It goes a nice pure white and just looks a lot better. And then here's some more portraits of my friend Brian. And again, this is very strong contrasty light, so I'm impressed with how it handled this. There's still good detail, but I don't need any of the detail in his forehead, so it's fine. It's not important that that went black. I actually feel like it makes it a stronger image because it kind of brings you in to his eyes, which are the center focus of this image. Here's a photo of my wife when metering for this. Since it was such a dark background, it actually metered for that a little bit too much and overexposed her arm just a bit. But still, I really like it. Here's another one of those underexposed scenes. But overall, I love this film. It looks good in 35 millimeter and 120. This probably one of my favorite because I just love that strong contrast with the leading lines, very symmetrical, and pretty much more of the same, just bracketing. But anyways, if you like this film, the FPP is selling it at the Film Photography Project or filmphotographystore.com, and you can just check out their Instagram and they'll have a link for it. And also stay tuned because we're probably going to be giving away some of this stuff for Halloween.
Introducing Film Photography Project's newest monster film, Wolfman 35 and 120 black and white film.
What?
Film Photography Project's Wolfman film. It's howlingly good.